throw me out. Don't send no police round me and tell me shush my mouth. Where's our conviction? But where's our pride? We selling everything, selling our backside. Just go online, it'll make you sick. You can buy any island, just point and click. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our hey, hey. Ride him. My mother always say, when you find a donkey, ride it. Who's the donkey? Huh? Come on. We got a whole nation in 73. Now we getting back the whole country. What kind of fools we must be, selling out for a bag of rice and a cup of tea. You know what does bug me? Help me understand. I can't find piece of property for under 80 grand. But I can fix this, I know what to do. I can squat just like them other people try make me do. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our they're selling our country. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our everybody sells some every day. Giddy up, giddy up. Come on. Oh, no. Oh, no. Let's go. Who's the donkey again? They're selling one island. Give away one key. What can be left for you and me? Is this the example? What's our kids to do? You want them have a sense of pride or go selling too? Cause they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling our whole country. Ooh, they're selling our they're selling our country, yes man. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling our whole country. Ooh, they're selling our they're selling our country, yes. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling
Whoa, girls, we outdoing
Don't say, I didn't go to jail, I'm okay. Keep our system clean. Keep our system clean. How must our politics be if we're going to do that? First of all, they have to be honest. The politics have to be honest. The people have to be clean and honest also. If you are not honest, if you are not clean, if you have a black mark, whether people know it or not, please stay out of politics. And so we need honest politicians, and we also need voters who can tell the difference between people who are honest and people who are not. And I was very, very surprised yesterday that here on this spot yesterday to hear Dr. Chee Soon Juan say, reputation is temporary, but character is permanent. I agree. I think Dr. Chee has every reason to know that character is permanent, doesn't change. We cannot have corruption in Singapore. We cannot have wrongdoing in the government or in high places in Singapore. That's why we have the CPIB reporting to me as PM, and if I don't give approval to the CPIB to investigate somebody, the CPIB can go to the President and ask the President for approval. President says yes, CPIB can proceed against the PM. That's why we have the Auditor General's office, to keep the government straight, to keep our statutory board straight, and once in a while to find out whether the town councils are straight or not straight. These are the PAP standards, and these also have to be the opposition standards. Just because you don't wear white doesn't mean you shouldn't be white or needn't be white. That's what is different about Singapore. I can show it to other people. Can they do it? Not so easy. That's what we must always keep precious in Singapore. So maybe that is why when Mr. Lee Kuan Yew had his 90th birthday, we had a little celebration in Parliament. And he was too weak to make a speech, but he came, he joined us in the members' room. We made a birthday cake, we sang a song, blew the candles, and he made a small speech. He talked about only one thing. He said, remember, keep our system clean. And I should note that that was not just PAP MPs having a celebration. That was all of the MPs having a celebration, including the opposition MPs. So the PAP MPs took note of what he said. I hope the opposition MPs also took note of what he said. Keep our system clean. You may be running the government. You may be running a ministry. You can be in a stat board. You can be in a town council. Doesn't matter. Whatever level you are, uphold high standards, keep it clean. And don't say, I didn't go to jail, I'm okay.
If they just kept operating acceptable and what was the standard, black people would never be liberated. If it were not for operating outside of the box and breaking rules, we would not be celebrating 50 years in an independent Bahamas. Y'all talk to me now. I'm talking revolution. In order to access the rights, the privileges, and benefits we enjoy today, our founding fathers in this country had to push the envelope, break some rules, and challenge the system. That's why you have the benefits you have. Because most people who are opposed to change are those who selfishly benefit from the way things currently are. Even at the expense, in most cases, Roberta, of the majority. So I don't want nothing changed because I living off this. I benefiting from this. This working for me. It don't matter that all of y'all suffering and struggling and going through and can't make it. Keep it the way it is. Because as far as I am concerned, I good with this. I could pay my bills. Who cares but yours? Things happening for me. I could fly where I want to fly, do what I want to do. I could build a couple homes and have property on every island. Why change things? Keep it the way it is. Most people who fight change are benefiting from the way things are. We all lived in this country, but only a few privileged individuals benefited, while everyone else suffered and struggled. But it took men with a mind to function outside of the unjust norm to break the oppressive power that held us captive. It took men of courage and strength to confront injustice and usher in a new day in the Bahamas, giving us the right to enjoy the blessings we now enjoy as Bahamians, that in my opinion, however, still does not go far enough. Enough for us are not benefiting. And I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, that the kind of leadership we need now in the Bahamas is the kind that is willing to once again upset the status quo and begin to carve out what the next 50 years should look like by introducing new and radical ideas that are as revolutionary as the ideas of majority rule and independence was 50 years ago. Y'all understanding me? Majority rule was a radical idea. Independence was a radical idea because that was the system. Minority rule was the system.
where we live in a country where more than 70% of those who are a part of our educational enterprise are the children of illegal immigrants. We have a problem that needs to be addressed. Brethren and sisters, there is a humane way, yes. There is a need for labor force, yes. But we are in an age where in a particular school in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, children of illegal immigrants lift up a particular flag and dare Bahamian students to pass that way because they declare that is their territory. This is what we are up against. And unless somebody is brave enough to say that
Amen. Amen. Right, set.
What happens? So after all, we fought for the Bahamas, for Bahamians. And after 57 years, they're all prepared to take charge and to decree and declare that while we celebrate what others have done and while we sympathize with the plight of others, we do not do so at our own peril. So we cannot cut off our nose despite our face.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is always so good to have you here live with us and spending your Sunday with us. It is always a wonderful pleasure. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live in Nassau in the Bahamas, and we are broadcasting from myriad social media platforms all over the world. So if you're tuned in, you could be tuned in from Facebook, our 3 Facebook pages, Lincoln Bain. You could also be tuned in. The video perspective isn't the best right now. You could also be tuned in from our YouTube pages, with Lincoln Bain, Bahamian Evolution, where most people watch it from, and the Coalition of Independence. We're also broadcasting on my Twitter page, excuse me, and my LinkedIn page. We also sometimes broadcast from Instagram, but not today. We're gonna have a serious conversation, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to slow down and have a real conversation with all of you. And the reason I think this is important for us to have a real conversation, not mudslinging education. I think we need to have a real conversation about what's really going on in this country. And we have to wake up our brothers and sisters because our country is failing. We got some serious problems in this country, and that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss the root of the problem. We always beat at the leaves. We always talk about the results of the roots. Everything you see in this country is actually a reaction, not an action. It is the result of some other failing in the system. And so we want to have that serious conversation today. I hope you're ready for a serious conversation today about what's really going on in this country, because that's what we're going to do today. As you can see behind me, we have queued up a speech 2 days ago. A press conference, the Prime Minister's office, weekly press conference. I read Wayne Monroe talking about crime. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to get into the system. You would notice that no matter which government comes in power, please excuse my cough that continues. I don't really get sick. I haven't been sick in 2 decades. I'm not sick, but I just have a cough. And it just won't go away. So please excuse me. and bear with me while this is going on. I know this is not the norm, especially for a broadcast, but unlike other politicians, I'm in front of the Bahamian people every week. And so you're going to see the real part of me. Unlike them who can stage the opportunities to go or not go. They only go when their hair is fixed properly. They only go when they don't have a call for any of those issues. But I have a duty to educate the Bahamian people, and this is urgent. And so I have to keep working. I have to keep pushing. We have to keep working. We have to keep pushing. And so push with me, bear with me in all of my imperfections as we make this happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the system and what has been happening. Make sure you take the time to share. The likes that you do too. Make sure put them up. The likes on Facebook if you're there, and that way the algorithm will think that this is a very important video, and it will automatically share the video. If you're sharing it, if you're liking it, if you're engaging, it's going to share the video more. Other than that, it won't pay any attention to the video. So go in there and if you like something, like, share, heart, keep them going, so that the video is pushed by the algorithm. All right. So I want to talk about this because there's something in this speech that he gave that made me more concerned. And I think because this was 2 days ago, this went over the heads of everybody, including the media. They always miss it. It's like they can only talk about things that they have permission to talk about. And they're not doing their own proper investigation. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to hear should concern many of you. And it was said at the speech, at the Prime Minister's office. Let's get to it. So this is Wayne Monroe. He has just been introduced. He's just come up and said good morning. And I'm going to let you hear directly from him because no one watches this anymore. When Cliff Watson was there in the beginning, people watched it more. Now no one is watching it. Their views are like nothing, zero. But I want you to hear what he had to say and what the government did to solve crime. And when you see that, you can arguably see why we still have a crime problem. Listen.
Members of the press here present and to the wider Bahamas watching. It cannot be denied that crime is a matter of great concern to members of the public. The Prime Minister has identified it as a top priority issue for this government. He has outlined in his address the government's approach to crime, the 5-pillar approach, and specifically the approach of the police to clear, hold, and build. If I can give some background to how we arrive at this. To be very clear, from the time that the Davis administration took office, on page 50 of the Blueprint for Change, you would observe a commitment to the National Development Plan Vision 2040.
Now, notice again, he talked about clear, hold, and build as if this was something they came up with. Now, I know his dry and bland delivery is really annoying, and it's like watching paint dry, but I want you to pay attention to what he is saying. I'm gonna just put that back just a little bit so you can hear that this seemed to be some kind of plan that they are claiming that they came up with to deal with crime.
Lead the approach of the police to clear, hold, and build. If I can give some background to how we arrive at this.
He said to how they arrived at this. Now, remember, we already know that the clear, hold, and build strategy was a strategy used in the UK. All right, it was founded many, many years ago, and they don't even feel it works anymore. And they put some criteria to say when this will not work, and the criteria of when it would not work fits the Bahamas perfectly. So it almost can't work in the Bahamas. But he made it seem like they came up with it. He said, when we came up with this, you heard him. All right, let's continue.
to be very clear, from the time that the Davis administration took office, on page 50 of the Blueprint for Change, you would observe a commitment to the National Development Plan Vision 2040. And so from inception, the Davis administration has proceeded on this 5-pillar plan, with ministries executing their parts of it. And you'd have heard of a task force. I will explain how that is a slight difference. But to be very clear, the approach has always been the 5-pillar approach of prevention, policing, prosecution, punishment, and rehabilitation.
Everything he said just now is not a new plan. From I was on the police force, this is how you deal with crime fighting. The prevention, the policing, et cetera, the punishment. This is the normal process. This is not a new strategy. Like, I don't understand how the media just sat in front of him and let that go. That's the normal. You try to prevent, you do policing. If persons don't do that, then you do punishment. What is your plan here? That is the normal strategy that the police have had since I was a police officer. And it actually was before that. This is the same strategy all over the world. So to list these things as your 5 pillars, what? That's not a new strategy. So first you have a copycat thing that is a part of policing, the policing part of your 5 pillars, that's now clear, whole, and build. But the whole thing is just what we already have. But wait, there's more.
That can be observed in my address to the UB Public Policy Institute in March of 2023 and in many pronouncements. So the Bahamian public can be assured that this is not a knee-jerk reaction to any particular event. A significant development.
So you wanted you to know that this is not a knee-jerk reaction. We know that. There is no reaction. You have not acted. You have not reacted. Because crime, build old, is not a reaction. That's some copycat thing you got from England. And we're about to find out how you got that. And the other stuff that's normal crime fighting strategy. Now, he said this was the basic thing that happened that you might not have known about.
An engagement of a consultant who had worked in the UK confronting gang crime, and more importantly, for some developments in this country, knife crime. This consultant came to the Bahamas.
Hold on, wait. They got a consultant. The Bahamas paid for a consultant. The Bahamas paid for a consultant from the UK, where admittedly Wayne Monroe is saying they normally deal with knife crimes. Since their gun laws are so strict, no one commits crimes with guns. All right. So someone who dealt with a country where people mostly kill with knives, not guns, and they brought him here, who doesn't know the Bahamas, to tell Bahamians how to fight crime. And then you're failing in that strategy and you're wondering why. You see, the UK has a different system. They put strict laws in place and they don't care who you are. They don't pander to the criminals. The criminals aren't cozy with the politicians. So they can put strict gun laws in place and cause no one to want to use guns. It was that way from, I was there in England. It was so freaky how everyone was just saying, no, they kill him with a knife. I ain't use no gun. They'll end me if I use a gun. And their gun laws made possessing a gun so expensive that it doesn't make sense. But you'd bring this person with a different kind of system. They have a court system that's different. You know, you get appointed on your merits, not because you're a political crony. Not saying that no one here was appointed on their merits, but there are some who are appointed because they are friend of the prime minister. And so we have a system that the Bahamian people look at and say, they have a system where the chief justice is dependent, or the courts are dependent on the prime minister to give them a budget. And so if they don't do what, so it puts a kind of stranglehold on the court system as it relates to the politician, the same as the commissioner of police. He got to get his money from the prime minister. Instead of them having their own budget, their own independent budget that they determine, that's where the problem comes in. But anyway, this prime minister, this minister, on behalf of the prime minister, just admitted to the whole Bahamas that they brought in a consultant. The job of that consultant was to come and tell the Bahamas what to do about crime here. Let's repeat that.
Was an engagement of a consultant who had worked in the UK confronting gang crime and, more importantly, for some developments in this country, knife crime. This consultant came to the Bahamas, was embedded with the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
In case that missed you, his specialty is knife crimes. I would pray them pay the consultant for. His specialty is knife crimes. Let's keep listening.
Rode the streets with them, communicated with all levels of police force, straight from the commissioner to constable, went into our inner cities, and as a result produced a report that has been considered. And to be very clear, the consultant found that the Royal Bahamas Police Force had an understanding of the challenge and was effectively meeting it, but made recommendations as to how that approach could be improved.
So the government brought a consultant from the UK who's a specialist in knife crimes, brought him over to the Bahamas, took him on a joyride in a police car, took him into the inner city. You're not going to see crime and what's really going on by driving through the inner city. They're not like in the road, rolling the marijuana and packing the guns and doing the shipments. So y'all did drive-thrus, and that's supposed to tell this consultant who didn't grow up here and don't know the system how to solve crime in our country. And notice what they didn't do. They didn't tell you who this consultant is or how much he was paid, as other countries would do. They hire a consultant in England, you're going to know this is the consultant, this is his qualification, and this is why we hired him. This is how much he get paid. So you will know that we didn't, excuse me, we didn't pay him $5 million and tell him he got to give us 10% or 15% of that under the table. It's pure transparency. But of course, they campaign on transparency, but here we have them keeping a secret. This is the biggest problem for me with all of this. You went to the UK? Is the UK free of crime? This consultant, did he rid the UK of crime? So we have something special called artificial intelligence now that our government could use and save a lot of money, to get information on certain things. Let me ask artificial intelligence about the UK and their crime situation. What is the percentage of knife crimes versus gun crimes in the United Kingdom?
In the year ending September 2022, police recorded approximately 50,434 offenses involving knives or sharp instruments in England and Wales. Unfortunately, the specific data for gun crimes in the same period isn't provided in the sources I accessed. However, this statistic on knife crime can give you an idea of its prevalence compared to gun crimes in the UK, which are generally lower due to strict gun control laws. For a more detailed breakdown and comparison, you might want to refer to the latest reports by the Office for National Statistics and other relevant UK government publications.
So, I asked a question earlier, and basically it said that the crimes committed with guns is 0.2%. All right, 0.2%. Now they have 50,000 over 50,000 crimes with knife. People getting jug up, knife or ice picks, etc., etc. And that's who you went to. That's who you went to. Wow. We're in trouble, Bahamas. We're in trouble. He goes on to talk about, I can't really hear his voice anymore, about this task force and how they, the minister of basically every ministry is a part of this task force. So the Minister of Health, they put together Bahamas Task Force. The Minister of Health is a part of it. The Minister of Social Services is a part of it. That'll drag this on too long if I play all of that. The Minister of Financial Services is a part of it. Not the Minister of Finance, but the Minister of Financial Services. As a part of this task force they put together. And this is what they're going to do. This is what they're going to do, all right, to solve crime. They have no idea what to do. And so since we've had the prayer vigil, or day of prayer in Rawson Square, the murders have continued and the crimes have continued. I'm concerned that the Commissioner of Police keeps saying that crime trended downward last year. You don't know if crime trended downwards. The reports of crime trended downwards. A lot of people are not reporting crimes nowadays. Many people. They see the car, the window broken into, they just go and get it fixed. Someone says that was a week. That was a week for the Bahamas. That was a funeral week for the Bahamas, which is dying. People are discouraged. And so I just wanted to play that to give you an idea of where we are. The country is failing. Now, I want to talk about this system because nothing he said changes the system. Why do I say that the system has to change? What do I mean when I say that we need a system change? Why can't we just keep doing what we've been doing? Just change the faces. Go from this leader to the next leader. Go from this party to the next party every time. Why can't we just do that, Lincoln? Why do we have to change everything? Why is it so important that we get rid of the system that these people operate in? If you have a broken down bus that keeps breaking down and you keep changing drivers, how does that help you? How? You have a taxi that is always breaking down on you. How does that help you? Tell me, how does that help? You have a taxi that is always breaking down. How does it help you that you keep changing the face, but not the thing? Let me fix this for you. We have been juggling back and forth between failures, and we've been praising them in failure. These failures have been working together to rape this country. We've been juggling back and forth between these same friends, and in our faces, they've been working together to make sure that the same system continues. The same. They would have arguments in public, and then they would go and have dinner together. Love up on each other. They would be at each other's houses. That's them. Even their wives would work together. They're working together not for you, but for their system. And it's time that you wake up. By the way, in case you didn't know, that's Sharon Woodson and Lynn Hollowesco. Notice the government made all kind of accusations about Lynn Hollowesco, the prime minister. And of course, they did nothing. They made all kind of accusations, but they did nothing. What's going on? What's the problem? Is there something that we could actually fix? Is there something that we could actually do? There actually is. The real problem in all of this, trying to watch to make sure this live is going smoothly while I'm talking at the same time. All right. The problem is the people who actually control the system that they put in place. Those people, they don't see a problem with the system. That may be too deep for some people. That may have gone over some of your heads, but they don't see a problem with the system. Not just that they don't see a problem with the system, the actual people who are running this country, the actual people now who are running this country, they don't see problems. Not just with the country, they don't see problems. They see opportunities. There's a wealthy, excuse me, there's a wealthy elite that control everything in this country. There's a wealthy elite that has been controlling you. Someone asked me, Lincoln, why don't you celebrate majority rule? I don't celebrate majority rule because the majority don't rule. On the face of it, all happened was they went from being in the driver's seat and sitting in the front of the car to sitting in the back seat and letting you drive them. They went from controlling in the House of Assembly to putting you in the House of Assembly, but then they controlling you. So you do all the work while they travel the world. Majority does not rule. I'll get to that in a minute. The problem with these people is they don't see a problem. They see opportunity. What do I mean by that? That's a serious statement. They see, when, for example, when they see crime, they see opportunity. Crime to them is an opportunity, not a problem. It's an opportunity because the crime won't affect them. They don't live where the crime is going on. They're outside of it. Crime for them is an opportunity to oppress, to continue to oppress the common man. That's why when everything happens, whenever you need something, whenever there's a problem in this country, we feel the oppression. Oh, the government belt tight, they need to make some more money. Let's tax the poor. Let's put fees on them. Let's break their backs. It's an opportunity for them. So When crime happens, it's an opportunity for them to keep you subjugated, to use the laws to subjugate you and keep you oppressed. It's an opportunity for them to make money. Crime is a big money business. You got those $17 million drones yet? Do you know who has that money? Do you know where that money is? Crime is not a problem for them because they control the laws. They control the people that makes the law, so they'll never have a law that affects them. Remember one time the government's going to make change the law? Life Key wrote one letter to the prime minister, and that law changed. That went back. When they're going to go into VAT, some of the wealthy said, hey, what's this? Y'all are bringing into this country. The government said, no worries. Don't worry. It won't affect you. It'll only affect the poor. Because whatever money you pay, you get your returns. I heard some people say in the Bahamas we don't have tax returns. No, the common man doesn't have tax return. The business people, the elite, have tax returns through VAT. Whatever money they spend on VAT initially, they get back. They get to deduct it, and the government gives it back to them. Or it's supposed to. Are you all listening to me? I said I want to have a serious conversation today, and everyone in the country can't handle a serious conversation. They want entertainment. They want to jump up and down and be funny, but we got to have a serious conversation about what's really going on. Crime doesn't affect them because they write the laws. They control the laws and they control the courts because the people they control are appointing the judges. Serious statement. But let's fix that system so we don't have to question that system of politicians appointing judges and holding them by the throat. They control the fact that they put loopholes in the laws so high-paying lawyers can get them off. Crime don't affect them. They put loopholes in the law so the high-paying lawyers know the loopholes, so whenever they get in trouble, they can get them out on what they call a technicality. Donna Vasily is out. It's Life Key. She's out. Do you know where bail started? Bail for murder. Bail for murder started when the son of one of the oligarchs got in trouble for killing with a vehicle, killing someone. And because they wanted to get him out, he got bail for killing, which didn't happen before that. And now with that precedent, everyone who goes after, uses that as a precedent to say, oh, well, Moscow boy here got bail, so now everyone should be able to get bail because it's now a precedent. It happened because it affected them. Now it affects the whole country. And they have this halfway conversation about bail, but they don't tell you where this started. Bail was not normally given. It was not given to persons who were accused of killing someone. But because it touched them, now it affects our whole entire country. Technicalities. So that's crime. Crime doesn't affect them. All right? Because even if they get in trouble, they can buy their way out in this country that is kept corrupt. It's a system. Well, we can talk about the solution in a minute. It's a system. They can buy their way out. You all want to have a real conversation, right? What are the problems we have? Another problem we have is inflation, the cost of living. That's not a problem for them. Inflation doesn't affect them because the higher prices are, the more money they make. Inflation doesn't affect the oligarchs and the people in high society because the higher prices are, they're making the money. That price ain't high for them. That price high for you. Remember, they buying the product at wholesale price. That price high for you, not for them. Think about that. And so they don't care about inflation. The more prices increase, the more money they're gonna make. A lot of our prices in this country are artificially inflated. You go in the mall, um, that's retail in Miami, you'll see a Nautica shirt or polo shirt for $19.99, $20. And here it's sold for $80 to $100. That's retail, you know. That the mall was retail. How did that get to 4 to 5 times? You go in the grocery store. One time I went in the grocery store in Miami and I saw the case of Capri Sun for just a few dollars, and I saw to see the price of this head now. So I was like, hold on, this is retail. I'm in Winn-Dixie. They could buy this out of Winn-Dixie and double the price and still make a profit, and they don't have to charge us 4 or 5 times the amount. Inflation doesn't affect them. It's an opportunity. Remember, they don't see problems, they see opportunity. So whatever's a problem for you is an opportunity for them. I want you to wake up. And if you never understood another live I did, or never remember anything I did, remember this one. Inflation don't move them. Inflation also gives more money to the government. If a pack of eggs was $1, they get 10 cents for that. If that jumps up to $5, now they get 50 cents for that same dozen eggs. You see? Inflation helps the government rape you. So they're not inclined to do anything about it. I went into the food store. I was shocked because normally when I go in the food store, I don't look at prices, to be honest with you. I see something I wanted, I just buy it. But this day I went into the food store because I wanted some bread, right? I want some bread. The bread was, let me see if I can pull that up. Jesus. The price of the bread shocked me. I was wondering if I was living in Alice in Wonderland. I was wondering if I was in the wrong country. The price of the bread blew my mind. Did I have a picture of that? Yes, I do. I have a picture right here. Let me see if you could see this. I should have put it so you could see it on the screen. But this was the price of the special blend, the company that's owned by the oligarchs, black ones. This is $4.62 plus VAT. So $4.62 plus VAT was the price of bread. So that's 4.62 times 1.1, that'll give you the full price, equals $5.08. 5.62 plus VAT. So really what you're paying is $5.08 for one loaf of bread. Jesus. $5.08 for a loaf of bread. That's what you all been paying? Like literally, I have not looked at the price of groceries. I've not really paid attention. A couple of times I see stuff going on social media and I've taken some pictures a couple of times. But I don't pay attention to groceries. I just buy it. But when I looked at that, I might end up having a conversation in the food store with the people around me. $5. I counted the pieces in there. There was 16 pieces. I ain't counting the last one on the end that no one eats, the last little piece on the back. So there's 16 pieces of bread in there. 16 pieces. So if you divide that 16 pieces, if you divide that $5.80 whatever cents by 16, you're paying 32 cents. 32 cents for one slice of bread. Jesus. 32 cents. for a slice of bread. One slice. One slice. So they don't see inflation as a problem. They're making money from that. And no one can control what they charge you. Except breadbasket items, but $5.08 for one loaf of bread. I'm still in shock. How are people going to survive? So that don't affect them. That affect y'all. Why? Because they also have the money to cover themselves in this inflation. They have the money. So inflation don't move them. That move you. And the more you pay, the more money they make. So nothing matters to them. It affects you. So they don't see inflation as a problem. I hope you're starting to get what I'm saying. Crime isn't a problem because it don't affect them. Inflation isn't, cost of living isn't a problem because it don't affect them. One, they got the money to pay for where they want to live. They want the prices high in the communities they live in, so you can't come live there. So they will pay that extra money to make sure that only them could afford to be there, and they will charge you for that. They make money charging you because they're controlling the system. You're waking up? There's more. So they don't see corruption as a problem. They don't see corruption as a problem because corruption is how the elites make money. That's how they get contracts. That's how Branson and them and Frankie Wilson and all these people get contracts. The first thing this government did was say that they're going to do a subdivision on the watery area near the Pinewood and Pinecrest. And they gave all of these contracts to Arawak Homes, which is there for them and PLP. They ain't just the PLP. Frankie Wilson running it, but it's both of them. So they're making money. They took that crown land, that's our land, put a piece of house on it, and then sold it back to us. You're going to pay $500,000 for that house in the end. By the time you finish paying for that. When changing the system means they could have just given you the crown land and let you build your house. They don't see corruption as a problem because that's how they make their money. They pay the politicians for their campaign so that anyone else who wants to come in, the money doesn't support them. The money goes where they want it to go. Obi Wilscombe told me something before. Obi Wilscombe was telling me how the Eastern Road called him in. The Eastern Road called him in, had a meeting with him, and told him at the time they wanted him to be the next prime minister. And he was next. You know, they were lining him up if he would take on that role. Of course, he got in a little trouble with a couple of things after that, and he got kind of pushed aside, and Brave Davis kind of snuck his way in there. But when they met with him and talked to him, he then met with Perry Chris, and he said, Perry, the Eastern Road, because I guess he didn't want Perry to feel he was trying to overthrow him or whatever. So the Eastern Road met with me and told me that I'm next. They're looking at me to make me the prime minister once I'm willing to work with them. Perry told them, yeah, that's how it works. That's what Obi Wilscombe said. That's how it works. Perry told him that's how it works. So while you'll hear Brave Davis and them talking about all these oligarchs, these white knights, this and that, they're not telling you the full story. It's deeper than that. They're in full control. Corruption is how they make money, controlling who gets in. So when election comes, you know the story is, oh, don't vote for no third party. They ain't got no money. Vote for the people who've been thieving your money because they got the money. Don't vote for the third party. So that's the argument that they're going to come up with. Corruption. Let me tell you a little story about China and Confucius. He was a great man in China. They now worship him like he's a god. I don't see him as a god. Not a god to worship. He was running for politics. He eventually won because he was running on cleaning up the country. And guess what? When he got in, he did it. I remember before he got it, he was a nobody. He wasn't really qualified to do it. The same old story. He wasn't part of the system. You know, he just wanted to come and bring change in that province where he was. And he won it. Listen, he cleaned up corruption. I mean, not not one piece of corruption. Eventually, people got annoyed at him because they were like, you know, before, if you want to get your passport, it's not literal, this example. If you want to get your passport, you know, you could just pay off something a couple of dollars and get it faster. Now with Confucius there, you can't do that. If you do that, you lock up. You know, if you want to get your garbage collected before everybody else, you know, you could just pay somebody, but you can't do none of this stuff. Corruption is gone. You know, if you get in trouble, you pay off a judge here or there and you get off. With Confucius there, you can't do that. And so they started to overthrow him. And they did. They overthrew him. They scandalized him, lied on him, and they overthrew him and got rid of him because things was too clean. So the people who were used to corruption, they got rid of Confucius. And they removed him. Within a couple of years, it was crying. It got worse than it was before because the corrupt people overthrew him. And the people always let the corrupt people influence them. The regular, normal people normally listen to the corrupt. Like here, we'll listen to the PLP and their trolls and the FNM, and they'll tell you, oh, vilify this person. Don't listen to them. Don't talk to them. Oh, they're bad. Don't listen to them. Vote for our bad person because he's good and he's nice. And they would, because they're getting the contracts, they'll be all over social media. They'll be everywhere trying to convince the regular people, no. Vote for Brave. Vote for Bintad. Vote for Brave. And they will convince you because they're benefiting. And that's what they did to Confucius. And Confucius was gone. And they cried. And Confucius refused to come back. You'll get what you voted for. Confucius say, me? I had the country taken. Not the country, the province. They eventually worshipped him like a god. That's how good he did when he was in power. And the corrupt, evil people vilified him. Made up stories, lied on him, did everything in the world on him. And they listened to the corrupt people and didn't pick Confucius. Now they're worshiping him to this day, thousands of years later, like a god. Corruption is how the politicians survive. Remember Joe Leader and the PLP and how they just allowed that to happen? Why? Because they're making money from it. Corruption. Just so I told you, because of the bail situation with the oligarch's son, that caused all this bail and now start happening, and all of this resulted from that. But they don't care because it don't affect them. The corruption in the 80s, people said, listen, this is going to destroy the Bahamas. Murder is going to start skyrocketing. Gangs are going to take over. The drug situation is going to hurt us. Your children are going to pay for this. Pilling them didn't care. The PLP was making theirs. They were making their money. And they couldn't care less about this country. They were making that money while it was there. And we listened to them. While they were making the money and we were getting nothing. We let Pinland go on, NBC or CBS, whatever he was on, and tell us. I mean, I was proud. He said, listen, y'all got all the DEA, the CIA, and all this A and that A, and y'all want me in my country to stop all these people from coming in. Y'all can't stop them from coming into America. The difference is he was benefiting. PLPs were benefiting from allowing it to happen. That whole island is their station, Norman's Key. Police officers told how they would get a call, leave that alone. and it's affecting our children today. It's affecting you when you get robbed. It affected you. It affected Brave Davis when his house got robbed. Those people who robbed him are now dead. Will we continue like this? So crime doesn't affect them. Crime don't bother them. They could care less about your crime situation in this country because why should they care? The R News did a good story on the murder on capital punishment. I was supposed to line it up for you, but I didn't. They talked about this guy who was trying to get him off, trying to stop. Who Ingram was about to hang. Now, it depends that the reason Ingram was hanging this fella is because he killed someone in Treasure Key. All right, because always some political connection. So they were bringing back hanging, and he had killed 2 persons in Treasure Key. All right, that's Abaco. And so Ingram, who was bringing back hanging, was going to hang this fella who had committed the crime in Abaco. Okay, and who was the defendant, the legal person defending this person? You know, Philip Brave Davis. And of course, Philip lost the case. He lost a lot of cases in those days. Jesus. But anyway, Philip lost the case. Philip was trying to get to stop him from being hanged, etc., etc. And Philip lost, and the fella was hanged. So that fella, I mean, he's listening from heaven now or hell, wherever he went. You picked the wrong lawyer. You picked the best friend of the man who was trying to kill you. You picked Brave Davis, who's the best friend of Hubert Ingram. You was never going to win that. Yeah, Brave and Ingram, closer than Perry and Ingram. A lot of y'all don't know that. And they just told me that themselves. All right? So, corruption. I'm going to move on. Immigration is not a problem for them. Let me speed up a little bit because I want to open the phone lines too. Immigration is not a problem for them because they don't have to live amongst the problem. Immigration is not a problem for them because they're not competing for jobs like you are. They're not competing for a hospital room, a bed like you are. They're not competing for a classroom like your children are. Immigration don't affect them. But immigration is what they can make money from, and it's the biggest crime in this country right now. The biggest crime in this country is not drugs by itself, it's immigration. Because it is where the corrupt politicians make all their money. And when election comes, they're going to use this money to flood the streets with money to say, vote for us. So we can keep the problems. And you're going to vote for them because of the money they got from corruption. They can say, look at all this money they have. Oh, these other side broke. Don't vote for them. And then they're going to form another third party and say, hey, listen, if you want to vote for third party, vote for this one. All right? They're more presentable. They're more professional. They don't really fight for the people. You know, they just come and give eloquent speeches. They'll vote for these other set over here. Don't vote for this third party here because they're too rebellious. They're too rambunctious. They're too much like Pinlin and Milo Butler. You don't need that over here. Vote for this fake party that we're setting up. They're having the conversations now about setting up this fake party. They're trying to get everyone to try to come back. They're trying to get Brian McCartney to come back. They're trying to, well, I can call the names because then they can know I'm in their meetings. They're trying all manner of things to set up a system where they control it. The system is the puppet masters. And they want to keep the puppet master control. But anyway, immigration is not a problem for them because that's how they make their money. They don't care about the banking problems because they don't have the same banking situation as you. They don't even really keep their money in the bank. You would have seen one of what's his name? Go look up the declarations of Brent Simonet. Brent Simonet declared $156 million. He had more than that, but that's what he declared. But he declared at that time that he had $50,000 in the bank. $156 million was his asset, his value, but only $50,000 in the bank. They don't even use the same banking system as you. When last you see one of them sitting in the line or in the couch, waiting to see the loan officer. They have a whole different structure that they have access to. All right? They don't care about the fees. They negotiate their fees. You have those banking fees. And then in some cases, if you have a certain amount of money in the bank, you don't pay. You don't pay any fees. Think. Nothing that we go through affects them. They don't care about the healthcare system. It's not a problem, it's a money-making opportunity for them. And so I gave you all of these examples to show you that they don't see the problems we have as a problem. They see it as an opportunity. Everything that you could name as a problem in the Bahamas is an opportunity for them to make money. Oh, the road bad? Oh, we got to fix the roads. So they make money selling asphalt. They make money repairing the roads. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity for them to rape you. Oh, BC isn't working well? Oh, we can now take the generation and give it to Focal to generate electricity. So we now have a middleman, so electricity is higher. And we can keep charging the fuel surcharge to the Bahamian people. It's an opportunity to rape them. Every problem that you have in this country is an opportunity for them. Oh, hurricane? Oh, opportunity to sell you building supplies. Oh, they donated building supplies? Hide them. Get rid of those building supplies. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Bahamians, y'all gotta wake up before it's too late. So what's the solution to all of this? A change in the system. We live under the Westminster system. Westminster. Most people repeat that and don't even know what that means. Let's go back to artificial intelligence to see what the Westminster system means. What is the Westminster system? Tell me about it and how it works.
The Westminster system is a parliamentary system of government developed in the United Kingdom. It's a democratic framework which has been adopted by other nations, especially those with historical ties to the UK. In this system, there are two main elements, the Parliament and the monarch, though the latter's role is largely ceremonial in modern times. Parliament consists of two houses, the elected House of Commons and the House of Lords, mainly consisting of appointed members. The Prime Minister, the head of government, is typically the leader of the majority party in the House of Commons. They form a government and appoint cabinet ministers, mostly from among the members of Parliament. This government is responsible for running the country and implementing laws and policies. Laws are proposed as bills, which need to be passed by both houses of Parliament and then receive royal assent from the monarch to become law. The system allows for checks and balances, with the judiciary remaining independent. The system's effectiveness depends on conventions and the integrity of those in power, as it often relies on unwritten rules and traditions. It's known for its adaptability and has evolved significantly over time. Would you like more details on any of the Westminster system?
I would like you to tell me more about the unwritten rules. Why do politicians have to follow the unwritten rules? And if you have a corrupt system, wouldn't these unwritten rules be the problem because politicians won't follow them?
Unwritten rules or conventions in the Westminster system play a significant role. They are based on traditions, precedents, and practices that have developed over time. These rules aren't legally binding, but are considered essential for the system's smooth functioning. Politicians tend to follow these unwritten rules for several reasons. One, following these conventions helps maintain public trust and legitimacy in the government. Two, stability. Adhering to these norms ensures a stable and predictable political environment. These long-standing traditions and see following them as a matter of respect and duty. However, you raise a valid point about corruption. If a system becomes corrupt or if key figures choose to ignore these conventions, it can lead to significant problems. Since these rules aren't legally enforceable, their effectiveness relies heavily on the goodwill and integrity of those in power. In a system where corruption is widespread, these conventions can be easily disregarded, leading to abuse of power and undermining democratic principles. This potential weakness highlights the importance of strong institutions, a vigilant media, and an engaged public in holding leaders accountable. In countries where the Westminster system operates effectively, there's usually a robust set of checks and balances, including an independent judiciary and a free press to mitigate these risks. Would you like to explore any specific examples of how these...
I'll leave that there. In the Bahamas, when they break the rules, they're supposed to step down. They don't. They don't. They just don't. When Philip Brave Davis was caught lying to Parliament with the Bamsey scandal, he was supposed to step down. He didn't. There's many things that happened in this country where persons are supposed to step down and they don't. If you are involved in a scandal, et cetera, and you're a member of Parliament, you're supposed to step down. They don't. That's the weakness of the Westminster system. They don't have that problem in a republic. Example, the kind of republic that's in America. That's why they have checks and balances. Even if you are the president, you don't leave it to convention for you to have an honor system to step down. And in England, they follow that honor. They've had five prime ministers in 6 years. Because anything you do look funny. The Prime Minister Boris had a party during the lockdowns, telling people to lock down, but he had a party. He had to step down. In the Bahamas, they would just justify something, say something, tell the media, you all don't touch this, leave that alone, cover something else, and that's the end of that. He stepped down. In America, you're the president, they will impeach you. They changed the system because they said that system in England won't work here. So America changed the system when they wanted to get free of England. Here we go. Because you heard Pastor Aquino talk about this system that has to change. Let's talk about that now. America, when they want to change, they change the system. They said, no. We need checks and balance. We need the people running things, not a king. And we're going to have a president, but he's going to be accountable. And if he ever messes up, we'll impeach him and get him out of there. If we have a Congress member that messes up, we'll jail him. Senators have been jailed. You've seen it. Mayors have been jailed. Right now, they're impeaching, the Secretary of Defense on border control, on the borders. Because the borders are loose, the borders, there's failure at the borders. Not necessarily anything criminal, There's failure at the border. And they said, listen, this man got to go. And they're impeaching him. So they changed their system to get rid of the problems they're having in their country. They change everything, even symbolically. They started spelling and pronouncing words another way in America. They started driving on the other side of the road. We changing the whole system. They change everything so that we have a system that is accountable in and of itself. Not that they're perfect. No one is perfect. That a system that deals with accountability, and you just go by the system. What we need in the Bahamas is a system that doesn't care who is in the driver's seat. The system operates, and you have to go by the system. We need a system in place that will govern the governors, that will manage the managers. Recall system, Freedom of Information Act, all of these things they don't want to put in place. We are going to change the system. It is the only way you're going to get results. There's some countries that changed the system that went from developing nation to developed nation. I always tell you about them. In Qatar, they changed the system. The system was they had a monarchy. They still have a monarchy, by the way, but they changed the system. So not just the government system, it's just the way things work. Listen, it's important. In Qatar, I've told you the story over and over, so I'll just breeze through it. When they found people were dying on the streets, people were suffering, they had nothing, no educational system, no healthcare system, nothing for the people. And they found oil, and all of a sudden the royal family was rich. Like, hey, they just have the oligarchs, they're just rich, and that's just it. They ain't sharing that with nobody. They will keep it that way. Because they don't want you coming up and changing their system. Before I finish with Qatar, you know why the oligarchs don't want you to change the system? Do you know why the system is never going to be changed by the FNM and PLP, no matter how much you change them? The system is never going to be changed by the FNM and PLP because the oligarchs who run and fund them, they are benefiting from the system the way it is. Why would they change it? Why would they change a system that is working for them? They would have to be crazy. They won't do that. And that is why change never comes from the status quo. Change never comes from the people who are part of the status quo. And so I hear some people saying, oh, you got to get some big-time candidates, some people who was president of this before, this and that before. They're part of the system. When Pinland and them wanted to make change, they were nobodies. Do you think the UBP would have made any change in this country? Do you think that members of the UBP was going to cross the floor and go with Pinland then? They were benefiting from things the way it is. That's what Rukino was talking about. Sorry, Pastor Rukino. That's what they were talking about. That's what he's talking about. Why would they change it? Why would the FNM and PLP make it any better for you? Pintard is traveling with the Prime Minister. He's getting paid. He's living the life. They're just going to transfer this thing back and forward. They're never going to change it because they're benefiting from it. You have to wake up your friends and family. Change never comes from the status quo. It has never happened in the history of this world. Why would they do that? You wouldn't even do that for your own children. So, you're the daddy. You're making the money. You're bringing home the bacon. You're not going to change it so that you go out there and work and your boss pays your children. Just give the money to my children. No, don't give me no money. Just give it to them. And let my children tell me what to do. Let my children boss me. Give the money to them. I do the work. And I just change the system. Because I love my children. I could just make that change. You wouldn't even do that. So why would the FNM and PLP change a system that benefits them? Wake up. So Qatar changed the system. The son was seeing what was going on in the royal family, and when his father went away, he did a bloodless coup, got the civil servants to come on his side. Again, they didn't believe in him. He wasn't qualified or anything. They told him he was selling dreams. He said that everyone could get paid from their natural resources, the oil and the natural gas it was by that time. And he said, all of us can be rich. The whole country, we only have a small population, 50-something thousand, we could be rich. Now it's 300 plus thousand, just like the Bahamas. And they didn't believe him until he showed them the numbers. But the difference between us and them, we have a slave mentality. They lock us feeling like we don't deserve nothing. This can't happen. There could never be a case where we benefit, just be a slave. And but them, they didn't have that slavery experience that keeps the mindset locked down. And so they just changed. When they saw, they just changed. But us, we see all the facts right in front of us. Guyana, who found oil, you know what they're going to now? Guyana, just Google it. I can show you it, but I'm going to Google it because I don't know the phone lines. Guyana is now going to selling carbon credits. Before election, they told you I was selling dreams. Guyana found oil, but they want the big money. They're making big money from oil. They want the big money, so they're going to now sell carbon credits. Jesus. And we sitting down with a failing country, letting these people tell us what to do. I want to add you to the conversation, and I'll continue talking about what I have to talk about. But I just want to include you because I've been going long. I know I've been talking, but this one today is important because we have a system that has a change. We have an accountability. We are implementing island states and city government. See, that changes the system because it doesn't matter who the politician is. That's the importance of it. That's what they're afraid of. With island states, the islands have their own governor and their money stays with them. They can make laws, local laws, like in the States. They can say, these are the rules for parking, these are the rules for certain things in Abaco. They can say, oh, they ain't want to do it in Nassau, too bad for them. This the rule in Abaco. No shanty down. I'm reinforcing that. Since Nassau won't be corrupt, in Abaco, we ain't putting up with that. Since Nassau won't be corrupt, in Long Island, we ain't putting up with that. We have our own state laws. You see? They're afraid of this because it takes away their power. But we want a system change. Qatar changed the system by giving the money and the power to the people, letting them benefit. That's all it did. That's all of these countries did. I'm trying to summarize now. But we're going to change the system where you don't need a politician. Oh, you need some good qualified politicians. No. We need the people to determine what they need for their community. Because it's your money. How about we change the system to where someone's spending your money for you? How would that feel if you work, you make money, your money goes to someone else, and that someone else determines what you get? You make $1,000 a month. That person decides that they're going to give you back $10. You're getting $10 back. Do what you can with that. And every so often I might buy you one jeans. I'll buy you a shirt. You hold on to that shirt. Yeah, you need some dishes. I could buy you some dishes. But only $10 you get to do what you want to do. Does that make sense to anybody? Let me find one person that makes sense to. One. If it makes sense to you that you would work, your money comes in, but it goes, you have to give it to someone else, and they give you back from that $1,000, they give you $10 for you to do whatever you need to do it for the month. This is what happens in our system, why none of our family islands and why our country is broken and it ain't working. I keep giving you the example of Harbor Island. I keep giving you an example. Harbor Island makes $30 million a year. They send that to Nassau every year. They made that, you know. They send that to Nassau every year. $30 million. And they get back $380,000. That ain't even 1%. So that's like the $10. $10.80, $10.08, something like that. And that's what they got to do. They have to do it. That's why they have a water problem, electricity problem. The dock is mangled. I mean, how is this system working for you? Grandma Redford on the live is saying Bimini makes 50 million. They do. Let me calculate what Abaco makes. Abaco makes 17% of what goes to Nassau. So if you make 3 billion, I just call it numbers. The numbers might be wrong. Don't hold it to me. It's a theory I want you to get. So if we make 3 billion a year times 0.17. Oh, so Abaco, if we make 3 billion a year, Abaco sends $510 million. They could be their own country. Abaco alone would send $500 million to Nassau. The government does nothing, figuratively, for Abaco. They ain't doing nothing. Abaco, you are sending probably $500 million. Every year. Do you know what Abaco could do with their $500 million? Jesus. We need a system change. And then you break Abaco down into cities. And the cities have a mayor. Abaco has a governor. Cities have a mayor. And the council of the city council, they determine what they need to do. And they get a portion of that $500 million to do it. It's their money. They pay a royalty to the central government. And now you control what happens in your country. You don't need a professional politician to say, oh, we need this qualified man, someone qualified like Wayne Monroe. The stupidity that's coming out of Wayne Monroe's mouth. See, when you don't do the system that I'm telling you about, you end up with stupid politicians that come with their qualifications on paper, but in real life, they're puppets, so they can't do anything. They're going to come to you and say, oh, you need this one and you need that one. And, oh, this person's so qualified. And look at this. Wayne Monroe says the government is grappling with how to prove someone is in a gang. The government is grappling with how to prove someone is in a gang. What you mean you're grappling with that? Of course, when you have a prime minister who was defending the murderers, the prime minister was defending the murderers, the people who viciously, the worst of the worst, who kill people. He was defending them. Now you see that the country seemed to be cursed under their watch. You have a prime minister who's defending the murderers and the drug dealers, and now you make him prime minister. That's not to say he can't have a career. You can have your career. What God told David? Said David, yeah, he was a warrior. Yeah, whatever. You got blood in your hands. You can't build a temple. Yeah, you could still be king, because you ain't got to be saved to be king. That's different. That's a secular rule. You ain't got to be. Yeah, some people telling me, oh, if y'all want to win the election, you all got to be saved and sanctified and filled with the this and that, and y'all got to fast for 30 days and all this criteria they have. Listen, let me leave that. We have a criminal lawyer, word that how you want. Yeah, let me address that. Romans 9. God says he chooses who he wants to choose. That's Romans 9. Even gave example. I'll put Pharaoh there if I want to. He said, I use Pharaoh. I'll use a murder like Paul. I'll use a murder like Moses. Somebody said, Lincoln, that by-election, did you fast for 7 days before the election? No. Oh, see, that's why you got to, no, man, you're supposed to fast for 7 days. So I ain't fast for 7 days, so I didn't win. So God let the other man who didn't fast for 7 days win the election. Yeah, that sounds about right. If you ain't saved, you ain't gonna win. So God can put the other man who ain't saved there. I don't know. Religious people. Let me open the phone lines as I continue what I'm saying. Let me open the phone lines. 803-5995 is the number. Y'all call me in and talk. Let's talk about the system, man. Let's talk about the system change. We got 21 more minutes. Let's talk about the system change. The number's on the screen. 803-5995. You see, I showed you all on my other live, Brave Davis, talking to y'all about, you and the life of key to have this big speech, and it was just a speech. It was just total garbage. And then I showed you Brave Davis them doing the groundbreaking for these same people in life at key. They just loving on them. They signing all the deals with them, they empowering them. They working with them. 803-5995 is the number. And then they come and trick you. You see, they were told, okay, that's the phone line. Good afternoon, you're live.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bain. How you doing?
I'm awesome, man. How you doing?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I have a question for over the years. I know that members of parliament get a stipend for their communities every year. I think it's, as I recall, $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
If those members of parliament choose not to use that money, because I understand it goes into their personal accounts, what happens to that money? Does it go back to the treasury? Does it stay in the members of parliament?
If they don't use it,
for their own use?
If they don't use it, they're supposed to give it back. All right? It's a loose honor system again. Remember this, the Westminster system. So it's a loose system. Is there
any account for it being returned, though?
They're supposed to be, but the PLP is in power, and when they're not in power, the FNM is in power, so there will be no accountability. Remember, Ingram returned the monies back to Treasury because he didn't use it, and also Perry Christie. Remember, it was famous that he returned the money back, and he lives in a. I mean, he represented an area that has ghettos in it, and people were shocked that he returned. It was 100,000 at the time. Now it's 150 plus. And he returned the money saying he didn't see any need for it to use it in his community, but they're supposed to use it, and they have to return it if they don't use it.
Because I am shocked that the amount of members of parliament who supposedly have this money at hand but refuse to do anything for their community, and there's no mention of the money being returned or what.
My brother, why should they do anything for you if they know you can vote for them or their friend anyway? You vote for their party or their other party that they set up. Why? Let me show you something. Minnis is now in the papers. Minnis is in the papers talking about how he's going to put CCTVs in his constituency, right? He's in opposition. And he's bragging about that. They say, oh, people say, oh, Minnis doing a good job. He's putting CCTVs in his community. Hold on, wait. Weren't you just the prime minister? Why you didn't put the CCTVs in these communities while you were prime minister? Why didn't you put it then? Now, all of a sudden, as a gimmick, you're talking about you could put CCTVs? You were there for 4.5 years. And you didn't put CCTVs. Now you can use a constituency budget, 50,000 of it. That show you how cheap it is. He has the biggest physical constituency, right? So, and 50,000 is going to cover that. All right. Physically, his constituency is the biggest in the country. And so 50,000 and it's 39 constituencies. That means that this is very affordable. They could have already done this if they wanted to. But they don't want to do anything to stop crime because they are benefiting from crime. And that's where the problem comes in.
So
do the math. 39 times 50,000, that's $1.9 million to put CCTV in the whole country. But y'all keep voting for garbage. Thanks for your call, man.
2026, it's coming.
Amen. All right. I saw you calling while I was doing that. 803-5995. 803-5995 is the number. 803-5995. I mean, Minnis wants to be pat on the back saying he putting CCTVs in his community. You was the prime minister. $2 million and you could have CCTV this whole country. If, based on your numbers, $50,000 that you're encouraging everyone to do from their budget, if $50,000 could do it in your constituency, I mean, it could do it in every constituency, why didn't you do it when you was in government? These people keep playing with y'all, fooling y'all, and y'all keep falling for it. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Okay, here?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we have an issue there on Montague Beach where a lot of the boats that are coming in are anchored out very close to the shore. And they don't have nowhere to dispose of their garbage and none of that. A lot of stuff are being washed up on Montague Beach. And nobody seems to be addressing this. I heard that the MP, I think, for Finance was talking about how Atlantis want to take over Montague Beach and have air landing or something like that out there. But what is going on in our country?
Wow.
I'll hang up and listen to your response.
All right. What's happening in the country is that the country is a failed state and nothing is working in any area of this country. The politicians are just sitting down plotting schemes how they could take money from the treasury, putting it through their cronies and then directing it to themselves. And that's the problem with this country. And that's why we need island states and city government. And that's why we're going to do that. I'm going to call the member of parliament for St. Anne's this week and see if he can address that. He's being paid for that. I know we fight a lot of battles and we fight for a lot of people in this country, but we're paying him to do that. And if I pay my maid to wash the dishes, I ain't washing no dishes. Enough of that. So we need to know what's going on. We need to call them member of parliament for that area. I wonder if he'll answer his phone. Okay, let me call him. I got, just so you know that that's him. That's him, and that's his number. All right. Let's call Adrian White to find out about that specific thing. Okay, it's ringing. No.
He is currently in concussive protocol, questionable to return as.
Okay, he answered and then hung up. Here we go. Let's do that again. Call declined. See it? Call declined. So that's Adrian. He can see that's me. My picture is on my number and everything is there. Call declined. The reason I did that is because I've seen in recent times illegal immigrants or immigrants saying that they will call their MP. There's 100. Hello.
Lincoln, how you doing?
I'm awesome. How you doing?
You know, I just had to call. Mr. Adrian White he's trying. He's on there live, I think now, and watching, and he's tried to fill in some potholes on the Eastern Road. So we got to commend him in opposition for doing that.
That's the MP.
Of course, that's what he's supposed to do. Well, until things change with the new type of governance, of course, where that wouldn't be his position, as you've been saying, but that's going to take some training to get to that level. You know, I wanted to talk about the crime. It's not an F&M and not a PLP problem. And I really don't want to address them anymore because they've had 50 years. So if they wanted to stop crime or knew how to stop crime, we'd be crime free. Yeah. If they wanted us to have a hospital, we would have had it. So I don't want to address them any longer in 24. What I want to do is address how we fix this. See, you and many other people have been saying the sovereign wealth money. And now?
Hold on, Graham. Hold on one second. I just want to say this while Adrian is still on the live. Adrian, there's an issue with Montague Beach where it's being polluted. This call isn't saying negative about you. I actually like hearing you talk in the House of Assembly, the way you break things down. Although you're a part of a corrupt party in a corrupt system. We need that addressed because Bahamians have to swim on that beach. Elderly go on that beach to swim. And if garbage is going on that beach, that's a problem. So let's try to fix that, all right? So that's the reason I was calling you, Adrian. Go ahead, Graham.
Yeah. And so if we're looking at the sovereign wealth money in the country, sand, as you pointed out, and many others, sells every day of the week. Why is this money not going to the people? Now we got this carbon credit money. Well, I say crime. The natural resources credit jobs.
Well, I'm gonna when you hang up, I'm gonna ask an artificial intelligence to tell us what they use, the products they make sand from, and to tell us the products they make limestone and aragonite from.
Yeah, and so you know, I used to say aragonite, but let's move to sand because we all know what sand is. That sells for big money. Tourists get it for $2 a ton to the government, and we pay $6 for a little bag.
They're supposed to pay $2. They're not paying it. They agreed to pay $2, but they told me, Myers and Curling told me that no one is paying it.
Well, let's just look at the crime and how we stop this. If we got everybody working in the country, I can't be breaking into your house if I'm on the job. And if you gave me the money from the resources and from the carbon credits, I'd be too busy trying to fix my place, build my house on the crown land that should be given to me as well. I wouldn't have time for crime. You see, what's happening is we're not giving the people anything that belongs to them. Haven't given them a hospital in 50 years. So that's a formula for failure and a failed state, as you said. And
Graham,
what comes out of that? Crime.
Yeah, Graham, I heard you say that the crime is not an F&M or PLP problem. I differ a little bit with you on that because the PLP contributed to crime by encouraging the drug trade industry in the 70s and 80s. They contributed to that. That was a PLP problem. PLPs and F&Ms pander to the drug the gang leaders in this country. Use them to go on the street, put some money in the gang leader hand, and tell them take that on the street and push that to your boys, and get your boys to come and campaign with us and call me daddy. When you walk with me and say daddy, you call me daddy, and you get them to work with me. So when we get in, I can make sure if they get locked up, they get in trouble, I can make sure they're straight, and they'll keep getting bail like Die Stubbs and all these other people. Until it's embarrassing. But they have contributed to this. Even the minute the member and the leader of the opposition, and the things that they have done, it's contributed. The last prime minister said that Togi and Bobo used to come to his house to bring him fish.
I remember that.
You can't go to his office. And he got the criminal going to his house to chill out.
See, I guess.
And you're saying that I don't mean you, Graham, but people are saying that crime is not a government problem. Yeah. They are encouraging it. Brave Davis and no one associated with the criminals. We know that.
Well, I can't provide proof to those things. I wouldn't mention that. But
because he represents them. He knows them, and he associates with them he used to represent them.
So let me rephrase it. It appears that the governing party, with two different colored T-shirts, because they switch T-shirts on us, but it's the same government, is continuous, so they say, neither has the solution to the crime. Let's move forward into saying, how do you fix this problem? See, if either had the solution, we wouldn't have crime. Look at Bermuda. Look at Cayman. Look at British Virgin Islands. These are people in our hemisphere. Look at the levels of crime.
Oh, you got disconnected, Graham. Wasn't me. You can call back if you want to. Crime is a governmental problem. Adrian White told me to type him. He said send the type message. So I'll send it then. But I just said it and he's watching, so that's fine. 803-5995 is the number, so y'all can call us in. 803-5995 is the number. Crime is a government problem. When you have a government that is giving contracts to known or reputed drug dealers, using drug money to build government buildings, crime is a governmental problem. You see, we don't want to have the full conversation. Good afternoon, you're live.
Yes, how you doing, man?
I am awesome.
Listen, bro. We're talking about system, huh?
Yes.
Brother, let me just say this, and I hope that people will understand. System is made up of people. What kind of people make up a system is the kind of system that we will have. The system of the Bahamas is embedded with other systems. And these other systems, such as the religious system, the political system, they are working together. And these systems, the reason why they're working together, to control all of the other systems that is in this country. Now, here are some of the systems that is in the country that they control. The courts, the banks, all of the military forces, the schools, the church denomination, judges, magistrates, and all of them are working out of a dark, very dark place. So they could continue to control the masses of the low-class people through manipulation, intimidation, and domination. Only the people power can change this system through eyes opening on what you are doing. The truth, this system is so dark. People must know their life, and children, grandchildren must fight for it. The system must change in order for a change. I can talk to you personally when I see you, but let me just say this on crime. Crime is a very simple thing an offense. An offense against the state, an offense against individuals. There's two words people will always hear me say on social media: lawlessness, corruption, and law. Now, only law can deal with lawlessness and defeat lawlessness and corruption. The enforcement of law, when enforcement of law fails to be carried out, then lawlessness multiplies and it breeds. So crime is not a big problem. The reason why we have crime and lawlessness is because we have two political parties. And these two political parties, they are criminal parties. So let me say why I said that. Because they allow the stuff that they are allowing to happen in this country. Only criminals will allow such a thing to happen in this country. See what the PLP are doing to his own people, the leader, Philip Davis. We see what the opposition is doing. As you have said clearly and right, the system must change. But I'm saying to you, brother, it only takes the people power. If not for the people power, the system will not change. And the system is so dangerous, it's so dark. It's that, listen, bro, when I open up some things to you, we don't know what's happening in this country. We don't know what's happening in this country. They want to take this country over with this dark system. You know what, brother? You said something when you talk about, and they do it for people, you know. When they talk about, oh, you got to be saved, or oh, you got to fast, and you got to pray. They don't even know what fasting. Fasting, even they don't fasting don't work. The only thing why you fast is to fast if you want to lose weight. When you fast, take an intermission to go into that word and read it and apply the word to yourself. And so that's the reason for fasting. But when we're talking about governing a country, we need people with sense, common sense, who are not corrupt, who want the system to be changed, bringing a new system, because system is only determine how good it will be or how corrupt it will be because of the mindset.
Caller, let me tell you my only objective. My only objective in all of this is to make Bahamians royalty and to make them feel like royalty. You know, it used to be a proud thing to be a Bahamian. When you reach to Miami, because they felt like all Bahamians had money, it would be proud when you walk in the store and you say you Bahamian. You know, I was in Florida Memorial College. That's where I learned business and computer science. And we had a huge Bahamian association where I was the president. And it was prestigious to be a Bahamian because of how we presented on that campus. And we were the biggest organization on the campus. And we did certain things. It was proud to be a Bahamian. When Qatar and Saudi Arabia and all these countries, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, transformed their citizens. They made all of their citizens like royalty. So when you go to the Middle East, you will think that those persons are royalty. No, they citizens. They regular people. And you think they dress up in their thing and they acting like royalty. Now we got Bahamians trying to dress like them. You got foreigners coming in dressing like them, trying to look like them. I want a Bahamas where Bahamians can be royalty again. Right now, we're getting treated like nothing in our country, caller. Like nothing. The Haitian immigrant getting treated better than us in our country. They bragging about calling the member of parliament from their deathbed and saying, give my wife and my children citizenship. You can't even call your MP.
Let me tell you, and I respect you. Listen to me. I agree with you 101%. Let me say this to you. When Bahamians used to travel, as you say, right even today, when they hear you from the Bahamas, they look at you in a different way, the way they look at Jamaicans and Haitians. They look at us as we're rich. Because why? The way we dress, the way we look, the way we present ourselves. And I agree with you 101%. God has placed in this little country of ours the riches, the gold and the silver. Man, let me tell you something. Everything that we need to be on top of the world, God has placed it in the earth.
It's right here.
You know, for us. So I would do 1,000%, you know, but because of the corruptness of the politicians, they don't want this country, the people, they don't love it. I keep saying this. The politicians that we had for the last 50 years don't love Bahamians. They don't love organic Bahamians. They don't love this country. Because if they did, we would not be in the situation that we are in today, Mr. Bain. So I agree with you 100%. And I know under your leadership, I believe that you are the one who will take and to help to empower the Bahamian people, to take them into the new Bahamas and to restore us where God wants us to be. So all we need is persons, Bahamians, who have some character, integrity. That's all we need. They don't have to have no degree. They don't have to have no degree. They have 5 common sense, which is the highest and the greatest degree God has ever bestowed upon the human race, is common sense. And that's all we need. Common sense with some man with some business sense, and we can take this country to empower the Bahamian people. My brother.
Thank you, man.
Continue to do well, man. I love you, my brother. And
all right.
You know what? Man, you don't know. I talk to persons every day in the barber shop, on the streets. I hang out. I go on the blocks. You know, wherever I go, I open up. I try to open the eyes. What I've learned from you, what I've learned from Ricardo, what I've learned from blackmail, and you know, I am well known in this country, as you would know. So on the whole situation, my brother, I with you. God bless you, man.
Thank you.
Open the eyes of the Bahamian people.
Thank you, man. God bless you. 803-5995. That's my only dream for the Bahamas. If we have a country that works, man, these politicians don't love you. They come to you every 5 years with crumbs. If they'd love you, they'd build a hospital for you. Long time. Build it now and try to get credit for it. They would have built it long time. If they'd love you, you would have had proper roads. You would have had a proper educational system. We talking about crime. We have an educational system that is failing. Some people misunderstood the message I sent out there and what I said on Steve McKinney's show the other day about, because the government keeps blaming parents for the crime problem. They say it's the parents ain't a government thing. The government can't be everywhere. The parents got to raise their children. And I just want to say this again before I go for anyone who misunderstood. That is the way it should be. It should be that the parents have full control of the raising of their children and a full responsibility. Full. They have some, but that's not the way it is. Someone quoted to me, they said the scripture says, train up your child in the way they should go. Train up your child in the way they should go. When that was written in the Bible, people used to, thousands of years ago, people used to actually train their children. You weren't forced to turn your children over to the government every day, except the weekends, for the government to train your children. The government forced by law, they force you to let them train your children. So you hear people saying, yeah, it's still the parents, it starts at home. Yeah, it starts at home, and then the government takes over. It don't end at home. You still should try to influence your children, but the government put in law that you must bring your children to us to train. So if we want to teach your little boy that he could be a little girl if he identifies as that, then you have no say. That's what the government is doing. If we want to teach any nonsense to your child, if we want to train them differently, we have control of that, because your child is with them for 6 to 7 hours, because they don't just be there for 6 hours. They're probably half hour before, half hour after, and then sports and whatever other activities. So your child is with the government all day. They see you for a couple hours in the evening. You can't count the sleeping hours. Your child is with the government, is with you Probably you get home at 6 o'clock in the evening. You may see your child, they're playing their Xbox or they're doing their homework or something. You in the room watching TV or you cook, you eat. You don't even eat at the table no more like you used to do back in the day. You just give them their food. They go in their room with their food, whatever. You don't see your children. I want you to understand. See, this is the system that took your children's brain over, took their education over. So when they tell you love and worship Columbus, you're going to love and worship Columbus, even though he was a monster that his own country put in jail. When he went back, they jailed him for some of the things that he did. And we gave him a statue. And we say Columbus discovered America. And they used to teach that. Columbus discovered America. He never set foot in America. The system took your children and are now brainwashing them with a failing educational system. They want it to fail, to keep you broken, to keep you dumb, so that when they come campaigning and they say, listen, we got the money, man, we got the money. We give you some money. Don't worry about what's real. Don't worry about, no, that stuff Lincoln them saying, don't listen to them. You can't benefit from your natural resources. Just be a slave. They want you to not be able to cognitively consider the reality. They want you to say, I just PLP and that's all I am. Or I'm just F&M, that's all I am. They want you to say that and not think, because they are brainwashing you. When you look at the educational system in America and even England, when they teach you equations, they teach you with a view to doing something. They have science projects that you have to do and all this stuff. My daughter had to pass civics to get from grade 7 to grade 8. You got to pass Constitution and law and all that. Grade 7. You have to pass civics. When they teach you that you could learn, that you could think. Here, they don't want you to think. They want you to regurgitate. That's how our education system is failing, because they don't teach you the system now. Not the teachers. I'm not against the teachers. They're doing what they're told to do. The system teaches you to get information and regurgitate that information. In other nations, they teach their children to think. So here you learn equations and you feel, I'll never use that. I don't care about that. I'm never using an equation again. But there they teach you to use an equation for a purpose. Use this equation to build a bridge. Use this equation to make chemicals. Use this equation. They teach you what you're using it for, and it makes it fun and it makes you want to learn it. But our educational system just teaches you, here's your information. At the end of the month, you can repeat that back to me. And you don't mix that up. You repeat it to me just how I told it to you. That's it. Slavery education. We're going to transform the educational system because they have taken our children, put them in their system. And so if you put my child at gunpoint, because I go to jail if I don't send you my child, if you put my child in your system, how could you duck responsibility for my child's action and you actually training my child too? I'm not saying that the parent has no responsibility. You are training my child too, more than me. I gave the example. If a child grows up in a house with Jamaican parents, those children don't talk like the Jamaican parents. They talk like society. Society influences more than the parents in some instances. If you have one house, 2 parents or 1 parent, 3 children, the 3 of those children can be different. They can behave different. The parent's job is to steer them in the right direction, yes. One child could be academically inclined, one could be sports inclined, and one could be a criminal. Those children aren't exactly the same, even though they had the same training from the parent. And so it's the society job to deal with crime and how those children affect this society. So when your child decides they will be a criminal despite what you teach them, some of the pastor's children is the rudest children. They grow up in church. They grow up with good lessons, good teaching, good education. Some of them is criminals. It's the society job to take over and make sure that they're in line. The problem in our country is there's no consequences. You shoot a man down in broad daylight, you will be out next week. Even if you get locked up. If you get catch, if you don't get catch, you're good. If you get catch, you could be out. And then you spend some days in jail, a long time in jail. You just come sign in to the police and that don't affect them. They don't care. Right now, there's no consequences. They're hiding behind the Privy Council, saying that the Privy Council don't want murders. No, the Privy Council told you to define worst of the worst. And guess what? They ain't doing it because they just know we ignorant because they take us in their system that's broken and then teach us to not think. All you know is what the politicians say. You see, this is why our system broken. This is why a politician should come, stand up in front of us and tell us any nonsense. And we say, oh, the politicians say it. They stand up in a suit. Oh, that's what them. That's what the prime minister said. It must be true. It was on the news. It must be true. Because they've taught you that once I stand up in front of you and regurgitate and say that to you, you must just regurgitate that is the truth. In education, they teach you to question everything, like Jesus said. Question everything. He said, question even the angels. Jesus said that because all them mean of God. Jesus said that. So we have a broken system. And so now when crime goes out of control, you won't blame parents. I'm not absolving parents. But I also want you to know that a lot of parents don't know what their children doing. How much of y'all did stuff, you and your cousins, them, and you didn't do it in front of your parents? Your parents wouldn't even dream that y'all was doing some of the stuff y'all was doing. There are some parents who cloak. We say they cloaking their bad boy children. Their children don't be bad in front of their parents. Not some do, but a lot of them, when you say this stuff with their children, like, who child you talking about? Not my child. I have a woman, she say she been smoking all her life. Cigarette. Her mommy don't know she does smoke. Her mommy never see her smoke. This is a woman we used to work in private valley. Linda Sastre. She's dead now. She was married to Gabriel Sastre, who was the general manager of Kentucky. She said, yeah, man, my mommy never see me smoke. Never. And so some of them cloak, but it don't matter. See, this is how the law works. Now the system is supposed to work. The system doesn't care who you are or whether you function properly or not. It deals with you. There's results. The system says, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. We have to correct that. We have to punish that and correct that. So when you fail, the system jumps in. Since we had 17 now, wow. Did a murder just happen while I was live? You know, I saw the Prime Minister's speech at the national, prayer thing. He didn't even pray. He just talked. He just read something off the paper. Because if you just go there and read this thing off the paper, all of a sudden, magically, crime is going to stop in the country. We have a broken system and broken systems. Someone says, yes, murder, hospital lane. Oh, Jesus. We losing our sons and daughters to this broken system. The politicians are not going to arrest their people. A lot of these criminals are the politicians' people. They're not going to arrest them. They're not going to do anything about them. Pintard used to hang with the criminals. He used to hang with the emperor and them. They named Pintard in the emperor's obituary. Emperor used to do some good stuff. But Pintard used to hang with the criminals in Fox Hill. Surprised he didn't run in Fox Hill. Menace used to hang with the criminals. Braves used to hang with the criminals. Crime is ingrained in our politics. We need a country that works. had a criminal fellow who was writing a book, and he wanted me to advise him on how to get a book published and what to do and all this kind of stuff. His name was T. Ron Fowler. He used to go to my same barber shop as me. He's my brother, my barber's cousin. And so he wanted me to advise him. So we met. I looked, I read the book. The book had a lot of accusations and about criminal stuff, corruption with our government. A lot of accusations. He named some people in there. He named a female politician who does, cocaine. They provided the cocaine. He talked about stuff that happened in Nygard, Key. He talked about a lot of stuff in there. He really outlined a lot of the crimes that was happening in this country, and he had proof that he was working for PLB politicians. He's working with them. He said, listen, he was going to Haiti, doing what he had to do. He was on the gaming board. Remember when they had the fight in the cabinet? Code Smith and Kenyatta Gibson had the fight. They was fighting over the same fella. All right, T. Ron Fowler. Because Kenyatta fired him and Code Smith came back and they was having this big fight over it. And then they ended up with a physical fight, break up the cabinet over this criminal. Remember the Punch I put this article saying that this fella used to answer the door to Perry Christie's house in his boxers and his underwear. I don't know if you actually answer the door like Ivan Church said, but I know that I met with him before to deal with his book, and I turned the book over to the police because when he was murdered, the police asked me about the book because I guess they wanted to see if the stuff in there was why he would get murdered. And I told them these politicians could murder you because of the stuff that you confessing in this book. And I dropped him to Perry Christie's house. Me. I dropped him there, and he walked inside Perry Christie's house and the house next door. I dropped him there. A couple of times I met with him about his book. I dropped him to Perry Christie's house. All right? He was arrested. He did time in the U.S. He had fake passport. He used to travel on the fake passport, so it'd be no proof that he was where he was because that's a different name or whatever to do whatever they had to do. He said he got the passport from this government, the fake passport. Huh? These politicians are working with the criminals. Backtalk me, anyone in the PLP, and watch me prove T. Ron Fowler was working with the leaders of the PLP. Backtalk me. Three died in one day. Wow. 18. Wow. 18. The criminal element in this country is operating. They're working for the politician. Let me tell you why they legalize. I know we're going long today, but this is what we do on our Sundays. Some people watch football. They done rich. We need to get our country straight. Let me tell you why they legalized gaming. They saw another way to suck money. They legalized gaming because now you see what's happening. The number spent will take their money, invest it, make it clean now in a government building, and they get to build their government buildings without spending the money of the treasury, but they get to build their government building, and they get to look good and benefit from the building of that. The person who built it benefits, and the person who authorized him to build it gets that under the table. Our whole country is ingrained with crime. Everyone voted to say numbers cannot be legal in this country. The Prime Minister said, we are going to reward crime. I don't know if you're awake yet. They will not resolve crime. There's a young man who just got killed, and I want to give condolences to his family. His mother was Rochelle Lamb. She's the sister-in-law of Carlos Lamb, who's the campaign general of Jerome Fitzgerald, who now doing all the dirty work of Brave at the office of the Prime Minister. But the young man was killed, and that's sad. No family should have to go through that. I'm so sorry for that family. I know the mother. They got that car, the car that was shot up, that he was shot up in. They got that car back from the police the same day. In a matter of hours, they got the car back that he was shot up in from the police. And I was trying to figure out how you got the car back in hours. Like, they didn't even keep that for a day. Not even a day. And they gave the car back. So that means they're not going to do a real investigation then. The car should have been held as evidence. You should be still looking through the car and trying to find some evidence of something. I don't know about ever getting nothing back from the police that quick. And that was shocking. They literally got the car back in hours. And so you have to ask yourself, does that have something to do with political connections, or what happened? Or are they just not going to investigate this? What's happening? Like the country is broken, y'all. And we're going to fix this. And so whenever change comes, it has to come from people who are not a part of the status quo. Imperfect people always. Unsaved people always. And so I'm calling for a group of people who love this country, and that's it, to stand with us, to put yourselves forward. The revolution has already begun, and the evolution has already begun. The evolution of the Bahamian people means that our minds are shifting, our minds are open, and we're evolving to the next phase. We were slaves. We transformed into laborers. We transform now into owners. The shift is happening. We must benefit. We will benefit. I will fight. They will chastise, they will lie on me, they will do all these things. But I will fight with my last breath. Good afternoon, you're live.
Hey, Lincoln, I had to borrow someone else's phone to get back.
Yeah, man.
You know, the question I have is, how can Cayman in the Caribbean, a small, tiny place with no resources compared to us, so little crime, have better health facilities where we fly down there to get some operations now?
Cayman now has a health city. They have a whole operation. Doctors from the Bahamas fly to Cayman to get treated.
Well, I didn't want to say certain things, but anyway,
that's not a secret. Doctors are leaving the Bahamas and going over there to get treated and it's cheaper. It's dirt cheap. In Cayman.
How is it that a place that doesn't have 700 islands, a place that doesn't have the quality of sand and other resources we have, a place that's not in a strategic location for shipping like Freeport in the Bahamas, why have we not turned Freeport into that special city like they've done? Because obviously it's making a ton of money, And that right there, we could have taken a Rand Memorial and made it a world-class medical facility. But my question is, how come they don't have the crime we got? What's the average salary there? Is everyone working?
Do you know what they? Do you know what they did before that happened? They did something in Cayman that you might not have noticed, and now they got everything. You know what they did? Their last election, Graham, they voted out the government and the opposition. They put all independent candidates in who want to see the country improve. I mean, the fellow was prime minister election day. He was walking around in jeans and with a little polo shirt. It's regular Cayman Islander. Said we've had enough of the politicians who are failing us. And they voted in all independent. And got rid of the government and opposition. Now they got a health city. Now the country is thriving. Everything is going good for them.
So I didn't want to say it. I wanted you to break that down for the people listening. They do not have a brand new cruise port. You have to get on a little tiny tender to get into their downtown.
Yes.
Not a big cruise port, but guess what happens when you get off the little tender?
What?
You got to shop in all the local businesses.
Yes,
don't you?
You do.
You don't get to stay inside your little port and hide.
Mm-hmm.
See, we just got rid of Bay Street. Because if crime gets really bad here, at some point in the future, they'll say, hey, stay in the port because it's safe.
Hey, Graham, let's go a little deeper. We didn't just get rid of Bay Street because of the port. Bay Street is now owned by foreigners, by Indians and Jewish people, everyone other than us.
And who owns and makes the money from inside the port? We know what's going on outside on Bay Street. Who's making the majority of the money? See, we got 8 million tourists, but how many of them are spending with us? 100,000? How many what's the numbers of the people that get off the boat? 20%? 50%? What's the numbers of the people that leave the port? What's the number? Is it 2% ending up on Bay Street? 5%? Is it only 20% getting off the boat and looking in the port?
I was told that 80% stay on the boat.
Me too. So if that is true, we ask the question, the other 20%, how many of them leave the port? 2%? 5%? Because when you have a boat with 5,000 people on it and you got 2 of them in port and 3 other boats with 2,000 or 3,000 people, I'm not seeing 20,000 people in Bay Street. See, Cayman, when you go there, or Bermuda,
you see that the ship is in because everyone comes off the ship.
Exactly.
I was there on a cruise.
And Bermuda says they don't want any chicken in the bag tourists. If you don't bring your cruise ship there, people ain't got enough money to come off and spend some big money. They said at one point on ABC, Good Morning America, they don't want to see a visitor if they don't make $50,000 to $100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's pretty cold. They got 30,000 citizens, 40,000. How is it that they don't have the medical issues we have with the PMH? They don't have the crime issues.
In Bermuda, their hospital works. They have no crime. Their streets are clean. You don't see one rapper out of place.
Yeah, it's hysterical what is going on in the 3rd richest country in the hemisphere. That's from the north to the South Pole.
Which is the biggest lie that is being told. We're not the 3rd richest country in the Western Hemisphere, even though they say that. I'm not talking hypothetically with our natural resources. They do it based on per capita, which is ridiculous. And they're doing it based on income per capita, GDP per capita, sorry.
Yes.
And based on GDP per capita, that money is not made by us. So the GDP is the money that Atlantis makes, Bahama makes, Bahama Rock makes, all these companies that generate income within the Bahamas, the cruise ships, whatever, right? So that's where the GDP comes from. But we don't own none of that. So, hold on one sec. I just want everyone to understand this.
Yeah.
They attribute, so let's say $12 billion is generated by these businesses in the Bahamas. They say, okay, divide it up by the population of the Bahamas, and that gives you your GDP per capita. But you can't divide that up unless you divide the shares and the profits up to us. We're not making that. The money they make don't go to us. So saying we're the 3rd richest is absolute nonsense. It's garbage. It's the biggest lie. Now, when we get in power, we are going to own cruise ships. We're going to own resorts. Hopefully, the resort in Freeport isn't sold, and we're going to start there. We're going to own our economy, and we're going to give grants to Bahamians, grants, free money to open their business, to focus on tourism. Why would we do that? Because we're going to make the money back in taxes. So giving the money to them, they're going to generate, and we're going to make this income back. So it's not just free money, it's generating income for everybody. And so Bahamians will own our economy.
So, Lincoln, the country is the third richest economy in the hemisphere, but it's not the people getting the money, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's our money. See the difference in Abaco? 1/3 of all tourist dollars that stay in this country was made before Dorian in Abaco. How'd they do it without a big hotel and a big cruise ship?
Exactly.
Because they own the bed, the sheet, the pillow, the knife, the spoon, the fork. They own the entire tourism product. And so until we decide that the tourism product is going to be, as Obi Wilson told me, he said, Graham, it's our tourism industry. I said, well, what part we own? In Nassau, we just do cheap labor. And at some point, they'll find cheaper labor. And that gets really scary. But anyway, I just wanted to point out why Cayman wasn't living the misery what we live. And you've seen their roads. Their roads look like Miami. But the reason that's happening is because everybody was removed and they put in all independence, and the wealth goes to the country and the people. Isn't that sad that we haven't done that in 50 years?
All over the world, they are overthrowing old governments and replacing them with new, progressively thinking people who want to love the country, want to take it forward, and they're removing those old government puppets. In El Salvador, they put I can't even pronounce his name, Buteflika, whatever his name is. They put him in there, and he got rid of all. He went and lock up. He went and lock up all the gang members. You all might have been working for them other politicians. Everyone lock up. He filled the jail with gang members. Go Google it, YouTube it. He locked all them up, and you all stayed in jail.
Didn't El Salvador do that as well?
I'm talking about El Salvador. That's what I said. So in El Salvador, that's what they did. And they actually made Bitcoin an official currency. And they did some progressive things that took them out of where they was, and it's taking them to the next level. We need real progressive change in this country.
I can let you go, but if you keep your eye on Germany, you see that people are getting very upset with people coming there and telling them what to do in their own country. And that's what's been happening here for 50 years. It's time the people here benefit from their country. That's all. Simple. Anyway, have a good one.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm hearing that the murder count, I can't fully confirm yet, but I'm hearing the murder count is at 18 right now. We had 3 today. So maybe they didn't pray long enough. But like I said before, and I'll say again, faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. How could you pray for the criminals when you're aiding and abetting them? When you're giving the criminals jobs and contracts. Good afternoon, you're live.
Hey, what's up? Good afternoon. How you doing, man?
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm glad the other caller just came in about the Nassau Cruise Port. I went in there the other day, and I looked around. I just asked if I could walk in. Apparently, the humans can walk in now. So I'm walking around, and I'm looking at all the shops. And I'm like, why do these shops look exactly like the shops in Marina Village?
Yep.
I'm like, how did Greeks get in here? How Great Cliff get in here? They wanted to close down the whole of Bay Street a couple of years ago, and the government told them if they buy up all the blocks, they'll be able to cut that off. That's why you see the umbrellas and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't get to do it because a few people down the hill didn't want to sell, so the government said, well, we can't do that. But made them bought up all of them things, but give them an opportunity inside the new cruise port when y'all run all the other vendors. And all these people, if you go in there and then you go on Marina Village, you'll be surprised what their last name is. And I did some research. I come to find out these people are family with the politician. They're not giving regular Bahamian opportunity to get inside there. Because I can tell y'all listeners, I hope y'all listening. If you have a store and you have something very creative, authentic Bahamian, authentic, $50,000. He just sweetened it down so it don't sound so spectacular because we're not used to that type of money. But I can tell you, you can make anywhere on a slow day on one ship, you can make $3,000 a day, guaranteed. And that's what the government don't want us to know. They're holding the tourism. You see Coco Key there? Coco Key, they ain't bringing down 10,000 people a day. You understand what I'm saying? I thank God for those who have their stall out there and they're doing their thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's nothing to pass down to the payment people to say, let's give an opportunity for those who are crafty and who could get this money, you know? So anyway, keep doing a good job, and I just hope that the people wake up.
Yeah.
Walk in and look at those stores.
Yeah.
You know? Bamboo Shack in there. They already have how much stores? They ready in Miami. Give somebody else an opportunity. Yes, it looked nice. And I'm not hating on anybody. But come on. All right, take care.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, they are now saying that the murder count is at 17. The murder count is at 17. We are in trouble in this country. The government is able to do nothing because they can't enforce the laws because they're working with criminals in many instances, and they're not going to be able to enforce the laws against these criminals who are working with them. And we all know what's going on in this country, but we have to decide if we want a better country or if we don't. You have to decide that we want a country where you can govern yourself. The system has to change, and we're going to change the system all around. We're going to continue this conversation next week. You have to change the court system. Right now, they make it so you can't afford to use the court system. They make it very expensive. We're going to change that system. The policing system where the prime minister controls the police, we're going to change that system. The attorney general, we're going to change that system because he's sitting there with the cabinet, so he can't lock up no in the cabinet. We're going to change the system. We're going to change the system to where the people themselves determine what happens in their community so they're not dependent on a politician. Right now, you want a job, you got to get one reference from your MP to get certain jobs in this country, you know. You got to get a reference from your MP. And that would let whoever you get in the job for know that, okay, that person is one of us. We want to continue this way. So a female was just shot. A woman was just shot. Country is broken. We can continue like this, or we can have a Bahamas that works. We are going to make this Bahamas great to the world. And we're going to make Bahamians great. Bahamians from all around this world are represented. Bahamians are in major companies around the world, making other companies and countries great. We are going to bring them home, and we're going to have a country that works, a country that can shine. We are going to represent as a people. That is my prayer. And this is why I fight. This is why I take action. I don't just pray for this to happen. I put my money, my time, my efforts where my mouth is. I'm working for this. And I just ask you to join me. We can have a better Bahamas. We will have a better Bahamas. Change is not coming. Change is already here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We went 2 hours and 40 minutes today because I think this is important. This is important. The country is broken and it doesn't work. The government is making excuses, and they're hoping that when election comes, enough people say, I just PLP. I don't care. I just got to vote for my party. No, enough people say, I just F&M, man. Yeah. Everything Lincoln is saying is true and that's good, but I just F&M. What you want me to do? That's just what I am. And so your F&M is failing, and your country is failing because you just F&M. Your PLP is failing, and your country is failing. I just want to say this about the gangsterism that's happening in the F&M right now. What happened with Richard Johnson. Pintard used a gangster tactic by going to the courts, not just to get the courts to silence Richard, This is democracy, and you're in the Democratic Party. You should at all times be able to speak out if your party is going wrong. But Pintard got them to silence not just Richard, but the whole F&M. The injunction in places that no F&M can speak out against another F&M. Jesus. What? What? Richard, tell your lawyers to go back to that court on a constitutional basis. You cannot silence the official opposition. The people in that party are supposed to keep that party honest. You can't say an F&M can't speak out against another F&M. That really means you can't speak out against the leader. That's what that means. Do you don't realize what happened there? Never in the history of the world. You can't speak out publicly against what you see your party doing wrong. You'll go back to court, yeah? And fix that foolishness. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. A new Bahamas is on the way. I'm going to go and get updated, call some police officers and find out what's going on with this murder. We have some more conversations. I'm just doing Sundays for now, so I won't be live on Tuesdays until I announce. We have a raffle that is going on. I'm sorry it took so long to say this. I normally have my team here with me that reminds me of certain stuff. I'm on my own today. But we have a raffle. So our office is open every day now. I think it is. Or someone from the party can post on there. We have a raffle that's going on right now. We're giving away a car, and the F&M does it. I think the PLP does it. So party's got to raise money. So we have a raffle going on. The tickets are just $10. You can go to the office at any point during the day, and you can you can get your ticket. We have persons working in there now, so they're there every single day. So go to the office and get your ticket. Support your party. Support the movement. It takes money. So, y'all got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. You got to do this. You got to do this. Go to this island. Go to that island. This takes money. You're going to make that happen. We're in this together to save our country. All right. So please go there. And again, I always put the links on. You can go to these links and you can donate to the organization. Here are the links. It's going to take you to get this done. That's your GoFundMe link. It's showing up wherever you're watching this on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, YouTube. The links just popped up. Go there, click on that, scan that, click on it so that you can donate. This is the one that goes directly to us. You can this one too. And so any of these links, you can just go there and donate to the party. Of course, we have expenses every single day, and we are operating and doing what we have to do and making sure that we bring the change that this country needs to see. So those are the links. So our convention is coming up. So make sure if your dues aren't paid up, go and pay up your dues. And we are going to have our election. I think it's on March 2nd. So our convention is coming up. So you're going to decide who leads this party. And that's our real official party launch. And so we're going to talk about that some more. So on Sundays, we'll be going live. So for now, on Tuesdays, I won't be going live. I got a lot of work to do and a lot of stuff that I have to do. So I'm going to be going live on Sundays. All right. So thank you all so much. Yes, I'll be competing with the football season. But thank you all so much. We love you. God bless you. And see you next time.